Anybody need more time? We're ready to get started. Ready? Okay. Well, good morning. Thank you for coming out on Monday morning here. I'm Dan Krasner. I'm the Executive Director of Integrity Florida. We're a nonprofit, nonpartisan research institute and government watchdog. Our mission is to promote integrity in government and expose public corruption. I'm joined by our research director, Ben Wilcox. Ben, a lot of you know, is the former head of Common Cause in Florida. He works with the League of Women Voters. Today we're releasing our third report this year. We just formed in January, publicly launched in March. Today's report is called Corruption Risk Report Financial Disclosure. It's a 26-page report, and basically we're looking at a tool that citizens have had in Florida since 1976. In Florida, you get to see the personal financial interests of your elected officials. Nearly 37,000 officials file these forms every year, but they're kept essentially in secret. You know, we know in this day and age, if something's not online, it doesn't exist. So Integrity Florida has collected more than 600 documents that we've put online at integrityflorida.org for the citizens to use, for media to use, to see every public official in Florida's who's in the legislature, governor, lieutenant governor, and cabinet. You'll get to see their financial disclosure forms from this year that they just filed in July. Those that did, there are still 4 legislators that haven't filed, and more than 4,000 public officials and employees that haven't filed. We've posted voting conflict information. We've posted gifts, more than $100,000 worth of gifts that our public officials have received this year. We've started to look at these forms, and we encourage your readers, your viewers, your listeners to take a look and see, are your public officials serving their own pocketbooks, their private financial interests, or are they serving the public interest? That's what these forms are designed to do. Corruption does not like sunlight. Disclosure is the key to accountability. Citizens have this tool that they've had since 1976 to view the private financial interests of their policymakers, but it's time to use it. It's time to take a look and see who's potentially involved in insider trading. Do we have public officials that know where the road's going to be built, and they get to buy up the land and make money, and you can't? Do we have public officials that know if a company is going to be regulated or deregulated? They get to buy the stock, and you don't. It's time we use this tool, and it's also a time that Florida gets serious about disclosure. We haven't had, since 1976, when the Sunshine Amendment was overwhelmingly passed by voters, led by former Governor Askew, we haven't modernized our government in the Sunshine Laws. It's time to put it all online. Florida needs to join the other states that have this information online already. And if it was online, the public can ask questions about why are 11 legislators working for lobbying firms? Why did only 12 legislators disclose potential voting conflicts last session? The median net worth of our legislators is going up year to year. Is it because of insider information or not? We need to take a look at these forms and find out. Bottom line is, for Florida to get serious about financial disclosure, it's time to adopt the Louisiana model. Take a look at Governor Jindal's financial disclosure form compared to Governor Scott's. Look at the detail provided in Louisiana by Governor Jindal versus the detail provided by Governor Scott, our Lieutenant Governor, Cabinet, and all public officials in Florida. Look at the size of this one. Look at every transaction over $1,000 being reported in Louisiana. Look at spouse information, income being reported. Look at those with clients reporting the industries they're representing. This is what detailed financial disclosure looks like. The Center for Public Integrity gave Louisiana, after Governor Jindal's reform, a #1 in the nation ranking for financial disclosure. Florida's number 26 with this light form here. It's time to go to the Louisiana-style financial disclosure in Florida. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
When you look at the legislators that work for lobbying firms, you say, did you see any conflicts there that you can describe?
We still need more disclosure to know. what we see, what typically happens, we have in Florida 11 legislators who were on the payroll of lobbying firms last session. And some of them disclosed their clients, some didn't. And we detail that in the report. Some legislators working for lobbying firms filed potential voting conflicts. Some didn't. We need to know why.
It's my understanding that it used to be illegal for legislators to work for law firms or companies that lobby, and then that changed. What do you think has been the impact of that change?
Well, I believe Florida has increased our corruption risk by being a state that allows our legislators to also be on the payroll of lobbying firms, to allow our legislators that they have a conflict. One, they get to vote when they have a conflict, and two, they only have to disclose a conflict 15 days after the vote. What good does that do? We need to join the states that have disclosure of voting conflicts before the vote. That's how most local government officials do it in Florida. Florida needs to get to increased level of disclosure, disclosure of conflicts before the vote. And perhaps the Florida Bar ought to look at the rule they had in the past that had more restrictions on those working for law firms to be in the legislature, and sources of income. Where our legislators, our officials make their money is relevant, and we need to compare how people are increasing their net worth, many of them, to their voting record, and look at these forms that we put on integrityflorida.org. You can look up any legislator or the governor, lieutenant governor, cabinet officials, and look at those forms and compare it to the votes you care about, and see if you think someone gained financially based on the vote.
When did Louisiana go with the more detailed form, and has there been any results from that?
Governor Jindal in Louisiana made ethics reform a priority. It was one of the first things he did when he entered office in 2008. Governor Jindal in Louisiana passed meaningful ethics reform. They went from one of the worst financial disclosure states to the best in the country. And the impact, and the reason they did that, Louisiana chose that path for jobs. Louisiana has their version of Enterprise Florida and Department of Economic Opportunity, where they tout ethics reform in Louisiana as a jobs attractor to employers. And the results are there. The unemployment rate in Louisiana, since they passed ethics reform in 2008, has been lower than Florida up until June to present. I mean, unemployment rate in Louisiana is lower than Florida because they passed ethics reform. It's definitely a reason. It's a selling point for the state of Louisiana that they have stronger financial disclosure rules than Florida. It's on their economic development website. It's something that Florida's economic development agencies ought to be pushing for. More disclosure, more ethics reform in Florida.
Dan, about 10 years or so ago, Senator Ehrenberg from Palm Beach County got a job offer from a law firm, Holland Knight, I'm not sure, one of the really big ones. He joined their litigation section, but he asked for an ethics commission report because he said he had absolutely nothing to do with their lobbying section, and the ethics commission said it's all right. Would it not be all right under your idea of a firm with, say, 1,500 lawyers?
Sure.
You might be in the trial division, not to do with lobbying. Do you think that should be permitted?
Yeah, we have a part-time legislature in Florida. They're allowed to have outside jobs. But if they have an outside job where the insider knowledge they have as a legislator can benefit their employer, they ought to have more disclosure. So we're not saying that it's bad for anybody to make a lot of money while they're in public office, but it would be bad, it would be wrong if they're gaining privately based on insider knowledge, unfair advantages that average citizens don't have. I mean, if they know where the road's going to be built and they get to buy up the land, if they can do things for their clients that you can't do, that ought to be disclosed, and we ought to look at prohibitions on potential. There might be some things that you shouldn't do as a legislator, but in terms of law firms, the 11 legislators that worked for lobbying firms last legislative session, some of them were part of the firm before they entered office. Some got the jobs after. Some of these outside jobs that our policymakers have, we need to question